This is a really annoying one. And I'll try to make these rest of the rest of our stories this evening a little bit shorter. I know I went a little bit long with that last one, but Warner Brothers Discovery supposedly plans to just permanently delete their film Coyote versus Acme. Now, if you don't know what this movie is, so this was a film that Warner Brothers Discovery was developing. It's based off of like a New Yorker article from the 90s. It's basically this idea that the Coyote from the Looney Tunes is suing Acme for all their like shitty products that he's always using, and for comedic effect they never quite work, or they don't work the way that he thinks they're going to work, and it's this whole thing, right? And it seemed kind of like a Roger Rabbit-esque kind of, interaction between the real world and the animated world. I can't speak to how good it would be, and I may never be able to, because so in November, Warner Brothers announced that they were shelving the film entirely for a tax break. And everybody dogpiled on Warner Brothers. Like, how can you do this? This is so disrespectful to the filmmakers, people who made it. And it's like you have a full film that is just never going to be seen. It got slammed by everybody. And ultimately, Warner Brothers kind of walked back the decision and gave the filmmakers the chance to shop the film around to potential different distributors. I believe the film was originally going to be a Max original, and then they decided to release it theatrically, and then they decided we can't even release this. And some people now have speculated that maybe they really weren't ever going to let the filmmakers give it to someone else, and that they were just trying to buy time. Deadline notes that Warner Brothers received offers for this film of around anywhere from $30 to $50 million. Potential suitors, if you will, included like Netflix and Amazon Prime and Paramount even. And there's some gossip, according to Deadline, that South by Southwest even expressed interest in programming it into their festival, but Warner Brothers wouldn't screen it. So what gives? There's people who wanted to get it, who wanted to take it off of Warner Brothers' hands. So what the hell happened? So Warner Brothers apparently wanted $75 to $80 million. Now, for context, if they go the tax break route, they'll get about $35 to $40 million, right? So basically, they wanted to double what they would get from the tax break. They wanted essentially what's called negative cost plus. So essentially, the cost of the movie, the cost of what it took to make the movie plus more, right? So make a little profit off of it, right? And according to the Wrap, they refused to entertain any counteroffers. So there was no moment of negotiation. They basically, would receive some offers, but they would just be like, here's what we want, take it or leave it. And, the Wrap also notes that Warner Brothers may be using the end of their financial quarter as an excuse to just settle the whole situation. Again, to help potentially the stock price. And it's because they don't want to show that they were unable to find a buyer, right? So they would rather just unceremoniously delete the film entirely, so that it basically doesn't exist. And supposedly, according to the Wrap, David Zaslav, who's the CEO of this new Warner Brothers Discovery merger, I guess it's not really new at this point, but Zaslav and the other executives at Warner Brothers haven't even seen the finished film, and supposedly Zaslav has never even seen any version of the film. So again, it just continues David Zaslav being a fucking horrible media executive. He might be, only time will tell if he is a good media executive in the sense of helping turn the financial situation of the company around. But it's like, if you're a filmmaker, I don't know why you would want to ever go work with Warner Brothers, because your film could just get, completely shelved or permanently deleted. And again, still unclear why this film was even shelved to begin with, right? So there's a precedent for this. Notably, they were making a Batgirl film and that was canceled. But supposedly that was because it got awful test scores with test audiences, right? And supposedly, by contrast, according to the Wrap, this film did very well with test audiences. So again, it seems like it just wouldn't make the amount that they wanted it to make, so it wasn't even worth releasing, right? And there's also an element to this that this was greenlit by a previous regime at Warner Brothers before Zaslav took over, according to the AV Club. So there is that element of wanting to just do your own thing as an executive, and then you have all this stuff you didn't even greenlight or you had no interest in, and it's causing these issues. You just want to get rid of it. But this really is just an awful situation, because again, films are more than just products. They are, even a shitty one, it's an artistic expression. And that's not even to mention film preservation, right? Like, again, this whole film with Will Forte and John Cena, like, this wasn't some weird avant-garde underground thing. This was was going to be like a big-ish movie, right? And ultimately, my stance on the whole thing is that, like, fine, if you want a tax write-off, you have a tax write-off. But if you're getting a tax write-off, that's our tax money. Or rather, I guess, because they're not getting money, but that's tax money that we as a society are not getting. So I think if you want to write off a multi-million-dollar movie as a tax write-off, okay, fine. But it should become public domain at that point. At that point, it belongs to us, the people. And obviously that's not going to happen unless there's some kind of, culture change and the actual legislation is passed. But, it's just a really sad development, and hopefully they figure this out. So the film, at least, even if it doesn't get shown for years and years, at least it doesn't get permanently deleted.